welcome to the University of Dubuque Football Show, live tonight from the offices of head coach Stan Zweifel, coach of the University of Dubuque Spartans. The Spartans celebrating a win, at least for 24 hours they did. I know don't know what your rule is, coach, but a big win for you against Coe College on this past Saturday. And we're going to talk about the big homecoming game coming up this Saturday as you'll take on the Luther College Norse as the Spartans went on the road and handed Coe College their first conference loss with a 15-14 decision. And Coach, this was a defensive struggle throughout. Both teams played extremely well defensively, and so I guess it's maybe fitting that a defensive play decides the ball game.
Yeah, first of all, I would say this, Tim, there was a physical, hard-hitting football game, kind of an old-school type of football game where they're a very conservative football team, and rightly so. They've got a very physical offensive line, and they highlight two backs. One, the Seidel kid, who's a really kind of a, for the guys my age, Don Nottingham from Kent State, running type of guy who played for the Baltimore Colts when they were in Baltimore. And then they have a back that's kind of a shifty kid, and they really pounded the football, and their offensive line played very physical. But I will tell you, Tim, I thought it was a great test for our front seven, and those guys really answered the challenge about that physicality in that game. C.J. Dean, our outside backer, had 8 unassisted, solo-assisted tackles. Dalton Wood came up with 8 tackles for us. But our entire front and our linebackers really played a physical brand of football, and we were able to, I guess, make that game about as tight as it could be. We felt like we had a really good first quarter, and we felt like when we got the second quarter going, we got a short field, got a touchdown, and got a field goal. But they started to tighten up on us, Tim, and we were never able to game that they were doing to us. But it was interesting, and we had a longer time of possession they did, which when I looked at the stats, I was really surprised at. But we did throw the ball effectively. We were 24 for 40 for 212 yards, no interceptions, and 1 touchdown. And I will say this, Tim, when it got to the fourth quarter and we had to make a drive to get the field goal, and we had to make a drive to put us down to get the potential touchdown, we really responded. We picked up 2 third-down plays on a 3rd and 8 and a 3rd and 9. Ben and Galtic did a great job staying there, 1-2. A couple of our wideouts who got themselves positioned against man underneath it. We just made some really big plays. And then we were able to protect, which I thought was really, really important.
Started out a scoreless ball game in the first quarter. Then the second quarter came, things happened for you. You got a 10 points off of turnovers, back-to-back turnovers by Coe College.
Yes.
So, you know, you always want to get those points off of turnovers, and you just took advantage and then had a 10-0 lead before Coe would answer there in the second quarter.
You know, I'll say a couple things about that first half, Tim. The first quarter, we were both feeling ourselves out. We were trying to establish the run a little bit. We knew they were going to run the ball. So it really was kind of like a punch, counter punch in that first quarter. Then the second quarter, we got 2 turnovers, as you mentioned. We were able to cash in on both of those, and it was 10-0. Then they went and scored 10 to make it 10-7. But I thought the biggest play of that game took place in the last 56 seconds of the second quarter when Coe came down to our 21-yard line. They got a first down, then they used a timeout. They ran the ball, used a timeout. They ran the ball and used a timeout, and I looked up in the clock, and there was 4 seconds left on the clock in the half. They ran a sprint out pass. It was 3rd down to give them a chance to either, I think, throw the ball away or run out of bounds. And smile of fortunes on us, he turned it up a little bit early, and we got him in bounds, and they called forward progress, which wound the clock, and they had used their last timeout to make that play. And I thought it was monumental in that game. So it was 10-7 us instead of being 10-10. And it just gave us some momentum. I really felt it gave us, hey, they screwed up. And we got a chance to take advantage of this. And it ended up coming back to haunt them and really helped us. But more importantly, that our defense, they were inside the 10-yard line, 3 snaps, and we didn't let them in to the end zone and force them to not be able to kick a field goal to tie it up.
Tyler Guyman had that pick off that got you your first points, or gave you the ball to give you the first points. 45-yard field goal by Liam Smith there, just starting the second quarter of play. And Liam hit that, what turned out to be the second field goal for you. That
Yes.
gave you the lead in the fourth quarter and 2 extra points, and he was named the Special Teams Player of the Week this week.
He's had a real nice season for us, and I've said this before, Tim, and I'll just reiterate it because he didn't kick the first game. He had pulled his quad muscle that first game, and we probably could have used him in that first game the way that game turned out for us, losing by a point to Marietta and missing 2 short field goals and 1 to win the game. But irregardless of that, he's going to get nothing but better. And we had a really pretty big discussion on the sideline whether we were going to try to that field goal. A couple of our coaches didn't think the wind was a factor, and I said, you guys are nuts. This wind is a huge factor. And again, almost all the points were scored going with the wind, so we decided to give him a chance to kick that field goal. And he kicked it right down the middle, and it looked like number 9 for Cole might have got a little finger on it, but that really gave us some momentum. And you talk about Tyler Guyman. Tyler's been a little bit frustrated because he doesn't have the same numbers this year that he had last year when he was second-team All-American and led our conference interceptions. I said, Ty, they ain't throwing the ball against you. That's why you're having less statistics. But he played one great game physically, coming up from a rolled-up corner in cover 2, making some great tackles. And the interception, he had a flat coverage responsibility. They ran a curl behind him, and he kind of fell off that flat coverage responsibility and jumped in front of the curl. It was a great play. Great play by him strategically to get us that ball, and then we jumped right on it and took advantage of it and threw a pass to Todd Simmons for a touchdown, and that really kind of, for that half, gave us that momentum I thought was so very important.
I read the stats. Jerome Wilson recovered that fumble that
Yes.
gave you that lone touchdown of the football game. So, 10-7 at halftime. Co went on another long drive in the third quarter. Did you feel like momentum was somewhat changing at that point? They just scored on a long drive.
Yeah,
before halftime.
it was interesting because I want to go back to the fumble that Jerome Wilson picked up because Colton Pedersen caused that fumble, and he was in deep quarter coverage, and he read the play and came up and made a great strip on their running back, and boy, was that a big play in that game. But to answer your question, they kind of wore us out a little bit, and I was talking to our offensive guys, hey, we got to stay on the field a little bit longer, men, because our defense is starting to wear out. And they really played physical, as I mentioned. I thought the end result of that was in the third quarter, we were a little bit wore down. Now, in the fourth quarter, we made a lot more possession, and were able to string together a couple drives and allow us to put that game where it's a one-score game, or a one-point game, I guess is a better way to put it.
Let's go to the last 3 minutes of the game. And what a turn of events it was.
Yeah.
First of all, your team scores a field goal to take the lead 10 minutes ago, and then about 3.5 minutes left to go. You've got the ball. Looks like you're going to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Wasn't to be. Turnover. Co takes it to 3, and then the safety with just under 3 minutes to go by the University of Dubuque, and that turns out to be the winner.
I got to lead you into that fumble because we picked up 2 third-down plays, and we got it at the 6-yard line, 1st and goal. We run a pass that we miss. We run a run play, and in my mind, I'm going to run a draw to Callion Buckner, and the worst will be we'll be right in the middle of the field to kick a field goal. Well, the best laid plans. A kid does a little bit of a stunt and forces Callion to break outside, and then he comes back, kind of covers some ground back, and a guy that's retracing the steps come from behind, knocks the ball out, and the ball rolls out of the 2-yard line. Now, when our offense came off, they thought that was the end of the game, but we had 3 timeouts left. They're on their own 2-yard line, and that might be as bad a spot to be when you're only winning by 1 point, my friend. So the first time they run the ball, we stuff them. The second time, all of us on the sideline coaches, they're going to throw a deep ball, and they do, and it's incomplete. Then at 3rd and 10, I was surprised they did throw the ball, and we had a Mike blitz on in the A gap, and they grabbed our Mike backer and pulled him down right in front of the umpire inside the end zone, and we did get the safety to win the game. And then I will say this to you, Tim, They had 2 timeouts left and could have got the ball back, but we drove the ball, we ran the ball, threw a pass on 3rd and 8 to pick up a first down to Wade Sheets on the sideline, and then on a 3rd and 7, Callian Buckner went 17 yards and went down. We were able to get in victory offense and win that game. Tim, we've had a lot of good wins that I've been here. A lot of big wins, ones that come back, and I think about our 2011 team, our 2015 team. I think about some of those games, but this might be the best team win we ever had. All parts played a part in us winning that game. Our defense, our offense, and our special teams. And I thought we played with great intensity, great emotion, and great physicality. And when we got that safety, I've never seen a sideline erupt like that. It was really, really fun. And I do want to add this. Our tight end got hurt the tight end got hurt in the 2nd quarter.
Jamari
Jenkins, and we thought, man, it looks serious. We were really concerned. They took him off in a stretcher, and I'm in the middle of the 4th quarter. I look to my right, and there's Jenkins to my right standing next to me. I'm like, whoo! He's okay. So
great.
It was really kind of a relief for that part, and then the win was kind of like that, the dessert you get with the cherry on top. That was really, really sweet.
15-14 victory over the College Hawks on the road in Cedar Rapids. So big road victory, and that puts you in 2nd place with Loris behind Wartburg right now, both sitting at 3-1 in conference play. And looking ahead to this weekend for homecoming. Anything else you want to add about the Co game?
Paul Meisner, our AD, sitting over there. I mean, our SID, and he tells me, every time I've come to Co, you've won a conference championship, Z. And I said, really? Then get your butt down there this weekend, my friend. And Paul came and was taking pictures, and I think that's 3-0 for you then, Paul, down there, my friend. So
he's man of the camera for us tonight. One of the cameras.
Next time we go down to Co, he's going on the team bus. I don't care what's going on campus, but it's been a place that we've played very well, and I think you had mentioned to me we're probably 9-4 in my career with Co, which is really good because they're kind of a rival for us distance-wise, but we really had some very competitive games with it. And I just do want to correct you. We are 4-1 in the league.
I'm
not
sorry.
a problem. Not a problem. I'll take every win I can get, my friend. Let me tell you that. But it is 4-1.
I was looking at Co's record. They're 3-1.
They're 3-1. But it keeps you in the hunt, is what it really does. You hope that Wartburg will stumble, whether they will or not. As I've told you, they're a great team, but it allows you to have a chance as long as you keep winning.
You feel like, Co and Wartburg do play later, and you talked about they're a team that could match Wartburg physically.
When I left the field at Co, it's kind of a long walk to the locker room, and I must have chatted with about 25 or 30 of their players, very gracious in defeat, and I had sought out a number of their good players, and I told them, I really think if you play this kind of physicality, you're going to have a chance to beat Wartburg and win the rest of your games. And I told them I really was impressed with how they played as a team and their physicality. So yeah, they're going to have an opportunity. Wartburg's good. I think Co is darn good too.
We're with head coach Stan Zweifel on this Monday night after the Spartans ran their record to 4-1 in the American Rivers, 4-3 on the season. And we're going to talk homecoming. When we come back, the Spartans return home to Chalmers Field for a homecoming ball game against the Luther College Norse this Saturday. And we'll come back and talk about that game with Coach Z in just a moment. This is the University of Dubuque Football Show with head coach Stan Zweifel. We'll come back in a moment. the University of Dubuque Football Show with head coach Stan Zweifel here on this Monday night of homecoming week as the Spartans getting ready to entertain the Luther College Norse for homecoming. And a note, that's a 2 o'clock kickoff, and you can view the game if you can't make it for homecoming on the website udspartans.com. Click that live link or on the YouTube channel. And looking forward to the Spartans and the Norse coming up this Saturday. Norse coming off a bye week, Coach. They sustained a 56-10 loss to Co last time they played. So Luther's struggling this season as they come to homecoming.
Really young football team, new football coaching staff. There's three things that stick out to me about their football team. Number one, they play extremely hard. They're young. They've got some experience at a couple positions, most notably the defensive line. They returned 3 guys who started against us our game last year against them, and 2 in the secondary, but very young in all the other places. Play extremely hard, as I mentioned, play with great enthusiasm. That really sticks out. And I think first-year coaches, first-year programs, that's one of the things you try to build, that culture part of it, and have the kids enjoying football. And then the third thing that sticks out to me, Tim, they are evolving. When I watch them from game 1 to game 6, a lot of changes, a lot of different things. They are probably run maybe 45 formations in their 6 games. I'm not sure what they're going to run, Tim, or how they're going to run it. They are going to try to motion, shift, scramble, do things to try to get you mal-aligned, get you some leverage positions on their offense, and they'll about do anything, and I'm serious when I say that. So part of our plan is to not get tricked into that. They've kicked 5 onside kicks. That's more than I've done in a career. So they're going to try to create some momentum, enthusiasm with that part. They're going to do a lot of things differently, and I don't know of anything we have on tape will prepare us for what we're going to do. So we're going to be very cautious in our approach defensively. And then offensively, they've also evolved. Their new defensive coordinator coached Derek Glenn, our inside linebacker, coached with Rob Huberty, our defensive coordinator. So we know some of his base package that he's used, but I'm not quite sure that they haven't evolved away from that, because when I watch their team, it looks like a little bit different team than the early part. So what am I saying? There's a lot of unknowns in this game coming up Saturday. So we're going to prepare for what we have on tape on them. We're going to prepare for them being excited as heck, having a lot of emotion early, bring a lot of enthusiasm early. And our counter to that would be that, number one, we just played. We've been able to do a pretty good job in the first quarter, the last 3 games. We feel like we've gotten better the last 3 games, and I've mentioned to you this before, Tim. We feel like it's a little bit more about us than it is about Luther. We feel like if we can execute what we've been doing offensively and defensively, we'll have stand a good chance to have a good outing against the Norse. And I do believe that the longer they stay in there, the better they're going to be. And I'll pick out the BV game that they had with BV, 52-49, I think. Is that right?
I wrote it down here. Yes.
52-49,
and they were ahead.
Yes.
That unbelieliable comeback.
37 seconds left in the game. BV throws a long one. So they've had some opportunities. They beat Simpson down at Simpson. And what I'm really trying to say about them, I'm worried. But I'm worried about everything, Tim. I'm worried about anything and everything. But I'm worried about a team that has very little to worry about. So what? 4th and 7, let's go for it. Those kind of things always can put you in a position that it can create some uncertainty on us. So what we'd like to do is play a great first half, do the things that we're capable of, and make sure that we don't let them have some kind of big momentum plays, multiple momentum plays.
Mm-hmm. I was just looking at some of the stats, and turnovers have been a big problem for them. 12 interceptions, but on the other side of the equation, they forced 12 fumbles, and so that shows you that's an aggressive team that can cause some havoc.
They'll come and blitz you, and they'll make some plays. They'll tackle you hard. They rally to the football. They play very, very. They're having a lot of fun, is what I tell our guys that watch them on tape. having a lot of fun. And when you've only got one win, sometimes that's hard to convince your guys to play with a lot of enthusiasm. And that guy is doing that up there, so hats off to that staff for that. They are going to be better as the season rolls on because they are so inexperienced, Tim. One of the things we have seen is they do have a couple guys nicked up, playing with cast, et cetera, and they're still trying to get their numbers up from the coaching change that happened last spring. So those are some things they're going to have to overcome as the season progresses. But they just had a week off, as you mentioned, so they should be pretty well healed.
This is homecoming on the University of Dubuque campus, so special in the life of a campus, and oftentimes with football as well, you get some players to come back and alumni, so it's an exciting time.
It is. We've had a lot of our former players off our 11 and 15 team, as well as the guys in the last 6 years who have reached out to the assistants or sent me texts or emails. We're expecting a real good turnout from our football alumni, and that's the most important alumni to me, obviously, the guys that have played for us on that part. And then, of course, it is just different on the campus. We have a lot of alumni back. We have our board of trustees come back. It's important, the homecoming part is, and we'd sure like to do our part in being able to win the game.
Anything else you're thinking about as you get ready for the Luther College Norse and try to go to 5-1 in league play?
Yeah, that's a good sounding after we started at 1-3, Tim. It really is. And you know, lacrosse remains to be unbeaten in their conference play. I think they're up to 9 maybe. And you know, Wartburg's I think 11 or whatever they are in certain polls, 15 the other. They remain to be undefeated. And Marietta is 3-3 in the Ohio Athletic Conference, and that's a game I'd love to have back, we've mentioned. But I think the biggest point I'm trying to make is if you take us when we played at Marietta and took us to where we played at Cole, the kind of improvement we're making, we're hoping we can continue that the last 3 games of the season, and we could be a factor in the conference race.
2 o'clock kickoff this Saturday at Chalmers Field, and it sounds like it's maybe going to be Indian summer.
Absolutely, close to 70 is what they say, right?
Close to. We're experiencing.
Bring out the short sleeve
Didn't even hit
shirts.
40 today in Dubuque, so that's going to feel good about that time. So yeah, sounds like the weather's going to be great at this time on this Monday, so that's always a perk. 2 o'clock kickoff, and come on out and support the Spartans if you can at Chalmers Field. If you can't, the broadcast will be available. Jim Cloran and I do the broadcast with the video stream, of course, on udspartans.com. Coach, good luck
Tim,
as you prepare for the Norse this Saturday.
Appreciate it.
All right. Head coach Stan Zweifel joining us on this Monday night of a game week of homecoming, and a big event coming up during homecoming at the University of Dubuque's Heritage Center. And here to tell us all about it is the executive director of the Heritage Center, Tom Robbins.
Hey, I'm Tom Robbins, Director of Heritage Center at University of Dubuque, and October is a busy month here. Of course, we're celebrating our 10th anniversary season. We couldn't be more excited. For example, some things coming up. This next Friday, October 14th, our own UD band concert is going to be happening at 7 o'clock. Come enjoy the concert with our band program and support our Fine and Performing Arts Department. Free concert. You'll enjoy it. Then also coming up on Sunday, October 16th, we'll enjoy the sounds of organist Dexter Kennedy on our Dobson pipe organ, part of our John and Alice Butler pipe organ series. So that's 3 o'clock. Tickets still available. And then we turn to homecoming week. We've got a long week filled with many activities, but the highlight is at the very end on Saturday, October 22nd, with Tony Danza, of course, our accomplished 1972 alum, star of stage and screen. People will remember him from his time on Taxi and on Who's the Boss. He was a Broadway star in shows like The Producers and Honeymoon in Vegas. So we look forward to Tony. Again, that's Saturday, October 22nd. And then on the heels of that, we have Grammy Award-winning Western music royalty, Riders in the Sky. Just an audience favorite and an audience pleaser on Friday, October 28th. Tickets available for that. And then in November, we launch into a couple of events in our smaller venue, the Babka Theater, where we will have a family show with Peter and the Wolf, a puppet show. Those are the Eulenspiegel puppets out of Iowa City. And then actually that same night in Babka Theater, so it's 2 shows in one day, that same night we have Piano Fondue, which is a dueling piano show at 8 o'clock. So 1 o'clock with Peter and the Wolf, 8 o'clock Piano Fondue. That's Saturday, November 5th. So get tickets for all of our shows at the Farber box office, 11 to 2, Monday through Friday, either in person or over the phone at 585-SHOW, that's 585-7469, or online at any time at dbq.edu/Heritage Center. And don't forget, when you're buying your tickets, to inquire about our new rewards program, HPALS, that's Heritage Performing Arts Loyalty System. When you're online, you can check a box that enrolls you in the program, or just ask about it at the box office and start earning rewards right away. We hope to see you soon at Heritage Center for some great live events. Hey, I'm Tom Robbins, Director of Heritage Center at University of Dubuque, and October is a busy month.
And we're back on the University of Dubuque football show with head coach Stan Zweifel. Thanks to Coach once again for joining us. Thanks to Tom Robbins for bringing us up to date on what's happening at the UD Heritage Center. The campus, a busy, busy place all week long here at the University of Dubuque. And don't forget the 2 o'clock broadcast for football. And we'll be on the air just before that to set up the pregame and then have kickoff at 2 o'clock as the Spartans take on the Luther College Norse. One programming note, because the University of Dubuque is on their bye week following this Saturday's game, we won't have a UD football show for you next Monday evening, but we'll return Halloween night to preview the Key City Clash when the Spartans get ready to take on the Loras College Duhawks, and we'll talk about the homecoming game as well a little bit with Coach. So thanks for tuning in to the UD football show from the University of Dubuque coaches' offices. I'm Tim Lary. Have a great evening.